morning, everybody. Nice to see such a full church. Great to see everyone here, and very much appreciate the fellowship that we have at this church. We're very lucky, aren't we? We are very lucky, and we're very gracious that we can come together on the Sabbath day. And we can just leave our worldly things aside for 5 minutes and just enjoy one another's company and enjoy God with us this morning. Who has Facebook? Could I have a show of hands, please? Yes? Good? All right. Is Facebook good? For those, maybe we should clarify that. For those who actually have Facebook, is it good? Do you enjoy it? Sometimes. A mixed response. Tell me, just share with me, what do you use Facebook for? Communication? Keeping in touch? Met family that you've never met before? Wow. Family that's moved away. Facebook seems to be quite exciting, doesn't it? Seems to be quite exciting. But Facebook was born on February the 4th, 2004. And it was created, does anyone know who created Facebook? Do you remember the name? Zuckerberg, that's right. In fact, it was created, and Mark Zuckerberg is the one whom is the general name, whom we all know in the media. But there was Eduardo Saverin, Andrew McCollum, Dustin Mikoskowitz, and Chris Hughes. Now, Facebook was originally designed for the use of Harvard University students for the purposes of communication on campus. As a result of this success, some 10 years ago, this quickly started rolling out from Boston in Massachusetts right across the United States. Let me share with you some of the statistics. I don't know if you can see there, but basically what we have is that according to statistics, there is in the order of some 1.3 billion active users. You know, when you're sitting there doing your typing and there's downloading of videos and all sorts of things that you can do. A great communication tool, some even where you can catch up with people who you may not have even considered or even known. But generally, for those that actually use it, would consider that as 1.3 billion people, this is a general breakup of the amount of people that are using it. So obviously, it appears that the young people seem to be taking Facebook with enthusiasm. And if we have a look across through here, we have something in the order of about 14 million males and 15, without the flowers here, almost 15 million females that use Facebook in the 18 to 25-year-old period. What is also interesting in a global setting here, that there's almost 2.5 million and almost just over 4 million in the 55 to 65-year-old age. What I found very disappointing is when you're trying to do some research about Facebook, that you can't actually find anything ages above that. And I'm sure they exist, but just not documented anywhere. So if you're one of them, yes. 93 and is on Facebook. Well, there you go. I'll put one there on the top. There you go. Thank you very much for that. I knew there'd be an update somewhere. Now, what is interesting about that age group is that, and as part of Facebook, my own railway society that I'm actually a member of is actually on Facebook. It's had to join the modern means of communication. But here, talking about the elderly, there's a lady who's obviously not on Facebook, but there is a society. This lady is 116 years old, and her name is Masaru Akwa, and she's a Japanese lady. So Facebook is for all ages. Now, what's very interesting is that when Facebook was designed, it was basically from the teens up to about 99. There was no provisions made for people. So 93, that's okay. So there's another, obviously, 7 years or so of Facebook still. So we've still got good currency there. But 116 years of age. And I just wanted to share a snapshot with you. The oldest living person in the world, and also the oldest living person who has a Facebook account. So if you're slightly younger than that, you've probably got a few more years. So it is absolutely amazing. The 1.3 billion people, mind you, is a lot of people. And to give you a comparison of what this group is, the world's population, according to our statistics, is somewhere around 7.27 billion people. So that makes globally Facebook that there is 1 in 7 people on a ratio. What's also out of interest, which I found in the statistics, that there is 1.5 million Seventh-day Adventist Facebook pages on there as well. So just some interesting statistics about Facebook. Now, Facebook reached Australia in 2005. Has anyone been a member of Facebook since that period of time? And in Australia, there are 13.2 million users as of April of this year. Now, our population is around about 23.5 million, which makes it 1 in 2 people actually has a Facebook account in Australia. So we seem to be adopting modern technology quite well. And obviously, from some of the feedback that the church family has shared with us, it seems to be quite positive. Now, while I have to confess, I'm not on Facebook, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that would also tick that box that are not in Facebook. However, having not being on Facebook doesn't mean that I'm necessarily missing out, because my family, who are on Facebook, they keep me informed of what's going on. So I don't necessarily have to use Facebook. I usually get the benefits of what is happening round in the family circumstance, communications and bits and pieces that were going on. I do remember at the time when Facebook did come out that my sister was eager for me to join Facebook. Sarah would say, "James, I want you to use Facebook. I want you to become part of it." Naturally, I declined the offer, and I've still declined it to this day. However, and because there was no living recording or anything of me on Facebook, my sister was determined that if I could not get onto Facebook, she was going to do something about it. And so what happened was, one Christmas time, she took a photo and plastered it on her Facebook account saying, "This is my brother," who wouldn't go onto Facebook. Now, it just shows that you cannot hide. And I just said, well, off you go. But I'd successfully, obviously, ducked and weaved and got out of the way because I didn't necessarily want it. Something for me, it's just personal. Facebook is very personal at the same time. But I actually finally got my photo, my mugshot, if you like, of one Christmas with the family on Facebook. Now, as people know, there's a place on Facebook where you can click like. And so apparently my sister showed me, there were a lot of likes that my photo actually got into her account. So I couldn't actually get away from it. So whether it's positive or not, I'll let everyone else be the judge of that. But because Facebook now is part of our lives, could you live without Facebook for those that have it? Could you not actually do with Facebook? Is there an alternative? Communication, let's not kid ourselves here. Communication is very, very important, because if we didn't have it, we would be not informed of what's going on. And obviously, in this day and age, we know that our traditional form of communication was the landline telephone. Hello, we dial numbers and we do that. We're now in a situation where we are using sort of mobile devices. I'll eventually find it in my pocket where I've got it there. Most people sort of have a simple form of communication and so forth. To me, when we would be communicating, this is what my iPhone used to look like. Isn't it funny that after a short period of time, that my younger boy, who used to have one of these Fisher-Price toys, that we would, over a period of some 20 years, that this is what an iPhone would look like. Because when people talk to me about iPhones, they look very little different to what they looked like 20 years ago. So communication is very, very important. One of the things that is also important is the great Facebook. And I have to emphasize that this face and this book is one of the great communication tools. Let me share with you, and I hope this morning we can have Facebook. Because what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to have a look at what was actually written in Facebook. The only reason in which we can look at things is this face reading this book. We have much information in here, but I'd like to share with you some of the greatest parts of Facebook. Genesis 1, we know the story of creation, but I'd like to look at it in some detail because there are some interesting aspects that are associated with creation. Genesis 1, 3-5 says this: "Then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and so he divided the light from the darkness. God named the light day and the darkness night. Evening passed and morning came." This was the first day. Tremendous creation. And yet this has been documented to us. The first day. This is what Facebook is all about. What happened on the second day? And so we read from verse 6. Then God said, "Let there be something to divide the water in two." So God made the air and placed some of the water above the air and some below it. And God called the air sky. And evening and morning were a second day. You know, the Facebook page is starting to be written. And just like our own Facebook accounts, we get various sources of various information that comes through to us. And what we do is we read it, we enhance that information, and we decide what we want to do with that information. This Facebook is no different. It is giving us some information. It's telling us something. It's giving us some secrets of what is going on. Now, what happened on the third day? In verse 9, where it says, "Then God said, 'Let the water under the sky be gathered together so that the dry land will appear.' And it happened." God named the dry land earth, and the water that was gathered together seas. Now, what's very interesting about this is that in the last part of verse 10, it said that God saw this and it was good. So in a Facebook setting, he'd click like. Isn't that amazing? I thought we were the ones that invented Facebook. But God here, through Facebook, he actually liked what was done. You know, when you read something and you think it's very funny or it's very good or it's humorous or it's something from the family or whatever it is, we click like because we can relate to that. We know what they're talking about. And when we have Facebook, we read here that God liked what he did. Can we be excited about that? Because we are actually on earth. We've actually been separated from the water, from the ocean. We're experiencing this right now. What happened on the fourth day? It said, "Then God said, 'Let the earth produce plants, some to make grain for seeds, and others to make fruits with seeds in them. Every seed will produce more of its own kind of plant.' And it happened. And the earth produced plants with grain for seeds and trees that made fruits with seeds in them. Each seed grew its own kind of plant. God saw all of this and it was good." So yesterday he clicked like today as well on the fourth day. So he must have enjoyed what's done. Now, you know, when we go to the supermarket and we go and get all our produce and bits and pieces, some of the things that we buy have come from the humble seed or the trees. And yet in our own backyards, for those, unfortunately I haven't got a green thumb, but for those that are talented with the looking after and caring of trees, such greatness that's been given to us. And when it took place that when God on the fourth day, sorry, I meant the third day previously, the fourth day, "Let there be lights in the sky to separate day from night." What's the situation at the moment? Are we in day or night? Day. Here in Facebook, we've actually read something to confirm that. We take it for granted, don't we? The sun comes up and the sun comes down and we see the stars. And yet, this has been given to us so that we can live. Because it says that these lights will be used for signs, seasons, days, and years. Is that true? It's 100% true, isn't it? And if you like it, you can tick that when you read Facebook. And so there were two lights. These are the stars, the moon. And God made two large lights. He made the brighter light to rule the day, and he made the smaller light to rule the night. And he also made the stars. God put all these things in the sky to shine on the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. God saw that all these things were good. So he's ticked the like box again. You know, what is amazing is that Moses, who wrote this, had total inspiration about creation. You know, we just walk around and we take all these things for granted. We have 7 days, and yet on the 4th day, these great things happened. The 5th day, what happened on the 5th day? Then let the water be filled with living things, and let the birds fly in the air above the earth. Who likes birds? Who likes looking at birds? What sort of birds do you have at your home? Magpies? Kookaburras? It sounds like there's a lot of birds, yes. Budgies. Some people have budgies at home in a cage. You know, we have such a variety of birds. And if we were to stay here and list them all, which obviously we won't, but there's a variety. But God made them all. And he made fish as well. Now, look, there are people who have fish, and there are people who like to fish. Some people like catching trout. Some people like salmon. Some people might like goldfish. And I'm only just speaking of a slither of glass of some of the things that have been given for our enjoyment. It's absolutely fantastic. I think we forget about what benefits that have been given to us. And it says that after the 5th day, the 6th day came up. And the 6th day was the creation. And it's interesting here, have you ever considered that, you know, when we think of creation, that we consider that on the 6th day, yes, the animals were made. But what is important is that it says that let the earth be filled with animals, each producing more of its kind. Let there be tame and small crawling animals and wild animals. Now, this was done in perfection. What do we consider to be a tame animal? I'm sure we have one at home, a dog, a cat. Or sometimes the cats might, or dogs might, with their barks, might be worse than their bites. And what do we consider to be a wild animal? A lion? Such great variety that's been given to us here at creation. And even here, we find that even small animals, large animals, big animals, and there's just a selection of them. Elephants. We could go on and on and on, but this is what was done for the 6th day. And again, it says in the latter part of verse 25 in creation, it says that God saw that this was good. And he ticked the box again. Then we find the most amazing thing that took place. And it says in verse 27, so God created human beings in his image. This is us. We've spoken about all the other things that this planet has been blessed with. We are a creation. We have been created. And this happened on the 6th day. And it says, just like the animals, it said, and this is what is remarkable. It says, God blessed them. And he said, have many children and grow in number. Fill the earth and be its master. Rule over the fish in the sea and over the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the earth. And God said, look, I have given you all the plants that have grain for seeds and all the trees whose fruits have seeds in them, and they will be food for you. I guess what we would modernly call now a supermarket, where you'd be able to go to the Garden of Eden and select the produce that you'd like. Some of us all have favourite foods, I know of it, and some of us have foods that we don't like. I guess the vegetables, the peas, and I'm sure the parents know with the struggle with the kids. But here, this supermarket was in abundance. And you didn't need a credit card or frequent flyers to get your weekly grocery bill. It was there on tap for you. Something that was very exciting. And in top of that, it says that I've given you all the green plants as food for every wild animal, every bird of the air, and every small crawling animal. Isn't it interesting how it says that it's given green plants for wild animals? Now, when we think, obviously in correct context, when we think of wild animals, we think of them, and we've seen it on the David Attenborough shows and so forth. They're usually, are they eating green leafy foods? They're eating meat, aren't they? They're eating meat. And we know what caused that. And so it says that, and it happened. God looked at everything that he made, and it was very good. And evening and the morning came, and this was the 6th day. I don't know about you, but we feel that we work very hard and we come here to rest. And as we say now, we usually have our lay activities in the afternoon. But God here made something in 6 days. Very exciting. And you know what? We're part of that. And in the Facebook account that we've got written here, we've got it several times, not once, but several times it's written, and God liked what he did. He ticked the like box so many times. They probably had to ask him to refrain from ticking the like box all the time. You know, when you look at something on Facebook and you've got all the friends in different places from the world, it's usually got you and X number of people, and then it's got, and 32 or 64 or whatever number it is, liked this. Can you imagine the number of likes that were pushed on this Facebook account? And you've been given the beneficiary. In fact, we all have been given the beneficiary of some of the things of creation that we can like, because it's been done for our benefit. Does anybody know what happened on the 7th day? Remind me. I can't remember. Rested. All right. So it said, so the sky, the earth, and all that was filled them were finished. And by the seventh day, God finished the work he had been doing. And so he rested from all his work. God blessed the seventh day. Interesting that it specifically mentions that when humans were created, it says that God blessed male and female. It says specifically. But then also what's exciting is that he blessed the seventh day as well. You know, when we like something, we look at it and we think, that's important to us. We can relate to that. And God, in his message in creation, wanted us to like that. We are the benefits. We receive the benefits of the Sabbath day. There's no question about that. And the only reason why there is no question about that is because there is Facebook. We've read, we've liked what we have seen. You know, all I've done is, as a matter of introduction, just gone through creation. Because as you know, the Bible has a lot of information. And if we were to go through all of the Bible in the context of Facebook, you'd all be asleep. But creation, it just shows how exciting that it is. You know, we've read it and we've read it and we've known it, but when you actually stop and actually read the detail and actually having Facebook, have you learnt anything new from what you've read previously? You know, that's one of the greatest things about having Facebook. When you read and you study something, you look at something new. You share from other people. You get to learn of what's happening. You know, when we have Facebook, just like we have Facebook, there are many opportunities where we have questions and we have comments. We want to make a comment on something. We want to like something. We want to question something. Is that as part of our Facebook as well? You know, some people like to make comments in a traditional sort of a setting. We used to like in our Bibles to actually underline something that was important to us, something that really hit us hard, something that we wanted to remember as part of our Christian walk. Then, of course, we've got our lesson pamphlets. You know, when you're studying, we're studying the book of James. Sometimes a very confronting book, actually. But when we study the book of James and when we read our daily part of our lesson, there's something there that potentially gives us that impact, and we underline it. We question it. We want to know more about that. And in this church, we're blessed with our small groups, aren't we? We mentioned them previously. You know, when you can come together, socialise. Not everybody has all the questions and answers, but each and every one of us has experiences, and we can learn from that. That's what it's all about in partnership with God. You know, we can like what we read. And, you know, I'm sure each and every one of us would like to have a one-on-one with God, face-to-face, wouldn't you? Because there are so many questions. And one day, all those questions will be answered. You know, the journey is very exciting because it's tinged with things that are going to be restored. We are going to be restored. You know, Facebook, whether we're reading it at home or whether we are Facebook, it provides us with some assurance. This is one of the most, I don't know if you can see that, but I will share this with you. This is our absolute assurance as we come to the end of time. And it says, Revelation 21, verses 3 to 5. And it says, I heard a loud voice. Now stop there. Have you heard a loud voice? Sometimes you've got to put your fingers in your ears because the voice is so loud. But it says in a loud voice. It didn't say a soft voice. It said a loud voice because the message is important. And the loud voice from the throne saying, now God's presence is with people and he will live with them and they will be his people. God himself will be with them and will be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, sadness, crying, or pain, because the old ways are gone. The one who was sitting on the throne said, look, I am making everything new. And this is the most exciting thing. It says, then he said, write this because these words are true and can be trusted. You know, when we read our own Facebook account, sometimes you might see something that looks a bit suspicious. You generally want to avoid it because it might be something that's sort of snuck in through the back door or something. But in this aspect of Facebook, we have been given an assurance. Each and every one of us has been given this assurance. These words are true and can be trusted. Can you tick the like tab on this one?